Welcome to the people who could join us this morning for me and early afternoon for Nadine, who is on East Coast time. But I do feel like most people are going to watch this in a recording, and we thought it was really important, especially because it is showing a way that you can add technology onto curriculum and not have to be following it to a T, and you can bring technology in to uplift it. So, there's actually 31.
Okay.
This time is, I think the evenings are not as good. Anyway, Nadine, introduce yourself, and then you could just take over. I'm going to be listening and learning. I even have my laptop here, so I can go to Google Vids while you talk.
Oh, good. Hi, I'm Nadine Gilkison. I'm the Director of Technology Integration for Franklin Township Schools, which is in Indianapolis, Indiana. So what I'm going to be talking about today is really how to leverage Google Vids, and I'll kind of give you an overview of Vids, and really how it's become an aha moment of how to really connect it. We're connecting it right now with our reading curriculum, which we use CKLA and Amplify. We've adopted that kindergarten through 8th grade. When you get into 6, 7, and 8, that's where it's just Amplify, but the lower grades, it is CKLA. But do keep in mind, I don't care what reading program that you use, the knowledge that I'll share today, you can use with any curriculum. Okay, so I'm going to jump in and start presenting my slides, and I don't have a ton of slides because I really want to walk you guys through some things and show you examples. But I'm going to go ahead and hop in and do that. And then at the end, I'll answer any questions that we see that are popping up. Okie doke. So let me go ahead and do that. Sorry about that. All right. So what I want to talk about first of all, and I think Holly has put inside of there. If you haven't, Holly, go ahead and put that. I have a bit.ly that is going to take you out to the slide deck that I have. And like I said, it's not one that has a ton of slides in it. I just wanted to gather any examples that I have so that way I could show you kind of the back end and give you some examples that you could refer back to. So if you're not familiar, Google Vids, I'm actually going to open a new tab, and I'm going to share this tab instead. Google Vids lives under your waffle. And so I'm actually going to tap on Vids, and it's going to open up, and you're going to see some different options. Now, I know I have that on my slide deck, but I do want to talk about the difference before I start giving you a demo of this. So I'm going to come back here.
Sorry, I'm totally following along like a student. So
That's all right. All right. So the first thing that I want to talk about is there is a difference in what you see inside of Vids, depending upon the type of license that you have with Google. But don't worry if you're like, oh, well, we don't have the very top tier or something like that, so this isn't going to be any benefit to me. I got you. Okay. I've got workarounds of how you can do the same thing that I'm going to show you. But I did want to start off with is that the box that I have in purple, like the dark purple and the 2 in the lighter purple, these are at certain levels. That these are the things that you see when you open up Vids. If you open up Vids, and I don't know if Holly's pulling up Vids right now.
So I want to stop you. When I go to my waffle, it's not there. So maybe I have to do that in my admin panel. But
yes.
And so I happen to know you can also get there by going to vids.google.com.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like educational institutions, it doesn't matter what level of Google, everyone has Vids.
Okay.
In education. It's just what you can do inside of Vids. That's where you're going to see the difference. So if I'm at the lower tier, I'm not going to see these purple boxes. I'm going to be limited to what I see. But again, hold that thought because I got you.
Okay.
I'm going to kind of tell you how I got started, because I don't want to jump right to the AI video creation, because the first way that I loved using Google Vids when I talked to my teachers was the record method. During COVID, a lot of districts were able to have funding to get different platforms because we were doing a lot of screen recording. And then now in this day and age in 2026, a lot of that, funding is gone, or I often get people that reach out to me and they say, well, what should I use now? Because maybe we were using Loom and I can only do 5 videos for free or something like that. And so I instantly started telling everyone in our district, oh my gosh, just use Google Vids. And the reason why I'm saying that, I'm going to come back over here and share this tab instead. I'm going to click on the record. And once I do that, it gives me my camera screen, my screen only. It gives me all kinds of options. And so what I've been telling people, I know I stopped recording. I just want you to look at the platform now. What I started telling people is that I'm now using this to create my training videos because it's that good. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a clip. I'm going to go back to my slide deck here. I'm going to show you a clip. It won't be the whole thing. But we had a virtual learning day coming up, and this was one of the first times that I used Vid whenever I wanted to send out something to everybody. So I'll show you this little clip. I'm not going to show the whole video. Oh, and it's not sharing the, there we go.
Here are some reminders for virtual learning days.
Hey everyone, it's Nadine here. I just wanted to cover some, or review some things about virtual learning. So when I created that video, which I know that was just a short snippet, I did leverage the fact that I could create an AI generated video. And so I did that where it had me, sliding down like I was sledding. But what I discovered was the other half where I was recording my voice. When I got done with recording the whole thing, I didn't realize until I got done with it, but inside of VO, I can actually add, it'll do a transcript automatically. And then with that transcript, it then popped up and said, hey, you had this many ums and ahs. Do you want me to take those out for you? And I was like, say what now? Yes. And then it said you had this many pauses. Now, we pause a lot of times because we're giving time, like maybe I'm demonstrating something. So don't just immediately hit yes. You do want to look through it. You can always go back and undo what you've done. But I was like, this is a game changer. But on top of that, it also automated captions, and it had different caption styles. I'm going to go into this version, and this is where I've got captions, and I've got all different kinds of captions. So basically, after I got my transcript, if I was like, you know what, I want to have captions with this as well, I hit a button and it literally added the captions. So those things, having all of those features, sold me on Google Vids right away. One thing that I'm going to pull up, and if you're either in this slide deck or go back to it later, I went ahead and I crafted, I think I added the link. Let me look. Yeah, I think it's down here farther. I added in here where it's giving you the comparison. So I wanted you to know what you can do depending upon the type of education license that you have with. It's really more the VO capability. Everybody has Google Vids, so I want to make that very clear. And all the, oh, sorry.
No, your slides require access. I just wanted to
read
that out.
Well, really. I'll update it afterwards. Just follow along for now, and then I'll change the permission so I'm not like stopping myself in the middle of this.
Right.
But when you click on this, it'll take you out to a full document. where it's got everything laid out. But I do appreciate somebody letting me know that I need to change the access. I thought I had. So now I want to kind of start to talk about what led to going into the discovery of making an AI generated video. So I'm going to go back over to Vids, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to act like that I'm starting a new one. So when I'm starting a new one, again, I get these different options. So again, depending upon your level of usage, I've got VO, which is Gemini's, text to image, video generation tool built into Vids. I can do an AI avatar, or I can even have Lyria, where it's going to create AI generated music all within Vids, just right here. So the next piece that I'm going to focus on, I don't even have to select VO. Okay. I can hit the X, and over on the right-hand side, you're going to notice all of these different buttons, and I'm going to click where it says VO. And this is where you'll know also what type of access that you have to VO. Okay. So I could create from scratch. I could give it a description saying what I want out of the video, and then it will generate something. People often ask me, how many generations do I get a day, a month, and all of that? I have all of that in that document, where it's going to break it down by the type of usage that you have. But when I was introducing this to teachers, I was merely talking about the recording, doing a screencast. And when I was doing PD with a group of first grade teachers, I said, so now that I've shown you all that it does, so for instance, playing in the rain. So I could do just something basic. So I just typed it in, and this is literally what I did with my teachers. I just typed in something from scratch, like, hey, I just want you to make this video clip for me. I did that with the teachers, and I said, well, here's the capability and here's what it will do. I also said, make sure you look down here where it says ingredients, because that means that you can add an image. So instead of VO just randomly trying to figure out a golden doodle playing in the rain, I can actually add maybe something that I have as a sketch, or maybe I have an image of a golden doodle that I want to make sure that when it makes the video that it matches the style. So that's where the ingredients come in. So as I was talking to teachers and I was showing this capability, and here is mine. So when you hit insert, so I don't know about you, but I think this is pretty darn good. When I add it in there, I have options with the video. So I can edit a transcript if I need to. I didn't really ask it to do any like words or speaking. I can mute it if I don't want the sound. But I started off by showing teachers that method. And I said, so now that I've shown you what this tool is capable of, let's talk about your curriculum. And what I always say, what are you teaching right now? What are you living in right now? What's going on in math and science and in reading? And I had a first grade teacher. I'm going to go back to my slides here. I had a first grade teacher, Erin Chester at Thompson Crossing, and she said, oh my gosh, well, in CKLA, we're doing this reader, but, the kids have a hard time, because they're just staring at a picture, and they're having a hard time making connections, because we all know students that are SPED, ML, they really need help visually, but honestly, everybody is a visual learner. And so she said, well, I'm going to take a screenshot of the cover of the reader, and I want to use it as a hook to get the kids excited about what we're going to be doing that day.
I'm I'm staying with my Dova this summer. It's so beautiful here. I can't believe it.
And I cannot tell you, it was like everyone's jaw dropped because, and what I really think is authentic about this is that it wasn't Nadine coming in and saying, oh, you can do this, oh, you can do that. In a lot of ways where I try to lead with tech integration is that I may know the tool and I can teach you how to use some type of tool with technology, but the teacher is the one who's the expert in the content. They're teaching it every day. So if I say this is what it can do, but now I want you to sit there and think about how you could put the two together. It was like the minute that she shared that, everyone in the room started going, oh my gosh, well, if it'll do that for you, then I'm going to try this and I'm going to try that. I don't have it in here with my examples, but at Thompson Crossing, the school I was mentioning, they have a DLI program. So that's dual language, where it means that half of the day is in Spanish and the other half of the day is in English. And the Spanish speaking teacher said, the manual is just, the part that the kids are seeing whenever I'm teaching the Spanish version, it's a little on the weak side. And so she took a screenshot of what the English version was. And she said, well, if I want to introduce what's coming out, with this unit, but I want it to be in Spanish, I wonder if it'll do it. And wow, did it do it? And she was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be using this all the time. So that it grew from there, because the way I do PD at elementaries is I'll go to their school and I actually, instead of me doing a hurried PD in the morning, I do like a flip flop. And it has worked very well, where the teachers get their prep in the morning, but they have to stop by and see me. And I do like a reduced tech PD that's like 25 minutes, but it's very structured and very intentional. So like I said, this was only first grade teachers together. So as I'm talking and they're sharing, we're only talking about first grade things. So from that, after it started taking off, I then we have curriculum pacing guide meetings. And so I also go to those because I'm part of our teaching and learning department, and our third grade teachers were meeting. And I said, oh my gosh, I got to share with you what happened at Thompson Crossing. So I'm sitting there with third grade and they were like, well, show us. What was this process like? How did you get it, to do that for something more than just, the image out of a reader? And I said, what are you teaching right now? And they were using this leveled reader. This is third grade, and I don't remember the title of the unit off the top of my head. But when I pulled it up, actually I can. Let me share this tab instead. This is Unit 8. Native Americans, Regions, and Cultures. So then when I went in, I found the reader. And here is what I did with VO. I copied, not the entire thing. I'm not like trying to violate copyright and all that kind of stuff. I knew that we wanted the kids to understand, for instance, what the word glistening meant. And maybe they couldn't understand just from the reading. They needed to see what that actually looked like in a visual and like come to life format. So I actually copied the first paragraph down to, I want to say, past the word footprints. So I highlighted all of that. And that is what I put into this box, where I put the part where it says a golden doodle playing in the rain. I copied that into there, but I also added in, this is not narration. What I'm doing this for is so I want you to create a visualization of what is written here. I'm not asking it to read it out loud. Does that make sense? So we did that, and let me go back here again. So here's where you see it, and there was actually a picture. And when I show you this video, here was the interesting part, because it shows us at the beginning, and at the beginning, I didn't add this picture as an ingredient.
Whoa.
So if you don't add the ingredient where it has the picture, what I told my teachers is that it defaults, Vids defaults to like a cinematic look to a video. So you have to know if you're not going to add an image for the type of look that you're looking for. So I'm going to show you this because then I asked the third grade teachers and I said, well, does this look pretty accurate? And they were like, wow, yes, but it doesn't look like the actual pictures from the leveled reader. So I want you to see the difference. So I'll play it now. And to me, that was mind blowing.
That's from the actual picture?
Yes. That's literally me just like doing a screenshot of this and adding it into VO. And all the teachers were like, I mean, because they were like, yeah, you know, it looks really close. But then when I did that, they were like, holy cow, this is exactly like, and I said, yes, that's what this can do. And so that really started to spark conversations all through different grade levels, whether it be at like a pacing guide meeting or when I was out, because that was the cool part. Because then after I left that pacing guide meeting, then I had another day where I was at another elementary and I could keep showing more examples. So then we started thinking about what do people need visually? And I'm going to come down before I show some of mine. This is one that I was at Arlington Elementary, and LaDonna McWhorter is a literacy coach that is there. And kindergarten was working on a unit that was like about Christopher Columbus. And a lot of the vocab was really hard for the kids to visualize. And they were saying, you know, that is a struggle that we've just had. Like kids are learning such complex topics at a younger age with this series. How do we make it come to life for them? And that's what's been really cool. So I'll show you this one. And this is what this teacher created. Now, the images might seem odd to you, but these were actually image cards. So there's a set of image cards for the vocab that come with CKLA. And so we wanted it to be intentional instead of being like, oh, we're going to describe something and then it's going to make, you know, this come to life. Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily tie with exactly what the kids are looking at and what, you know, this truly makes it come to life. And notice that we didn't add narration and things like that. I want the kids to infer as much as what they can. I'm just simply providing an option that they could see like, okay, you're not understanding the vocab, then let's watch this, or let's have this as a resource that you could go back to if you're still not understanding what these mean. So that's where it kind of took on a life of its own. Before I show a couple other examples, I'm going to come back over here where I've got my golden doodle, and there's a couple things that I want to point out with VO. So it makes 8-second generated videos, but it doesn't mean that I have to keep like make 8 seconds here and open a new one and 8 seconds there. It just means you have to hit the plus sign and then you can make your next video. So even though it's got my golden doodle down there, I can still come over here and I can start working on the next one. And the cool part is that it's got all the cool, you know, things that I need to do. Like it's got split scene. You know, I've had people come up with, you know, like, well, I like this video, but I didn't like certain parts. And I'm like, okay, well then edit it. You can do that in Vids. And that's the beauty of it, is that I feel like Google has waited forever to have like a video editor. And they've really nailed it with this one. Because of the simplicity. What my teachers appreciated was that a lot of this is very similar to Google Slides.
Mhm.
And so whenever they're creating, they're like, it makes it easier for me. But do notice off to the side all the additions I have, not just VO, depending upon what you have with your license. I can add AI generated music, a voiceover, and even, create an image with Nano Banana. So it's nice the way that it's packaged. It has a lot of things it will do, but the way that it's packaged is very simple for somebody to pick it up very quick. Let me go back here.
We have a question. Is there a time limit this is the exact question. I missed the answer. This is a 30-second clip. Is there a time limit?
You know what? It might. I'm sure if you put it in Gemini, it'll tell you. But I mean, I've done some that are. I really haven't gone longer than maybe like the one that I sent out the reminders to teachers for virtual learning. I want to say that one was like 5 or 6 minutes. But I think I've done some that are like 15. But again, thinking of be cognizant of cognitive load. Like how long is somebody actually going to be watching it? I'm not wanting you to make like an entire movie. With this thing, I would say short chunks, so you're not going too deep. But it is pretty capable of doing them for a pretty long amount of time. So then the idea that I started to have was how do we work smarter, not harder? So I'm going to come down here. So I started having in my mind, because as I was showing different teachers, we've got 7 elementaries. Well, if I've got a group of first grade teachers that are all like, wow, I'll make a video on that. I'll make a video on that. And I'm like, okay, this is nuts. We need to work together because we all know the things that the kids need help with. And if we get smarter about this and collaborate, then we're not all like, especially those of you that don't have the top tier, you only get to make so many a day or so many a month. You don't want to waste it. You want to make sure that you're leveraging that. And I want to be purposeful with how we're using AI to help generate this stuff. And so we started, collaborating, and I said, well, I'm going to make a Google Doc. I don't have a link directly to this because we're still very rough in the beginning stages of this. But I said, what if we create tech integration, ideas, because it's more than just Google Vids. We use School AI, and we were coming up with different chat bots. But there's other interactives. There's STEM things that could relate to CKLA. And I said, I feel like we just need like a tech integration document that is linked to our pacing guide. So that way it's easy for teachers to see. And so the project is going really well. And I've had a lot of people respond. I'll show you just a couple of them that I started to work on. So this is for grade 3, unit 1, Wind in the Willows. So I took the vocabulary image cards. Again, I'm not going to show the full thing. I do want to know if it looks kind of grainy to you on this webinar, it's not when you get into this file and you want to come in here and play these back. The video quality is very good. And I muted this so it'd be easier for me to talk over it, but you can turn just the nature music on. One thing that I made sure that I added, these are the image cards that came with this unit, but I just asked it to come to life. But then inside of VO, it has like titles that you can add. And that's where I added like where it says water rat. That's where I added those in. And again, I feel like that this is really good for a student to have as an example. And this is just another one. And maybe it wasn't that there was a card to go with it, but I wanted kids to understand these are the vocab words, but what does it mean when it's used in the term? We know that the kids are doing stuff with Wind in the Willows. So then it's not just meander. Do you know what it means to meander like through that context of that lens of that book? So when I was prompting Vio, I was saying, and I thought it was cool. It added the nature sounds. I didn't tell it to do that. So it's just really good to have as a base. Now, a couple of things that that have happened as a result of this. Number one, I have gotten so many people from Holly's last webinar that I did with her. So many people have reached out, and it's been awesome to me because there are a lot of people that are using CKLA, and they're having the same like, okay, I know we want to do this program with Fidelity. So it's not that we're not tying it and being, with that Fidelity. It's how do we make certain things, engaging and come to life so that the kid can have that great comprehension of understanding what's going on. And so I'm trying to think this past week, if they watch this, they're going to be like shouting out the state. I know I've talked to people in Michigan. I talked to people in Utah this week. That's what it was. And so what's really neat is they're like, I'm interested in helping you. What grade level do you want us to work on? And we've got teachers that are willing to work on this over the summer. So what I've told everyone, and in case there's anybody else that's interested, we're trying to do like a 9 weeks at a time because there's no way to tackle the whole thing over a summer. But we're trying to be moving forward so that we can help students out as we go.
So you mean take those image cards and do them and then put them in a bigger document? Like, is that what you're talking about?
So basically I'm having people help add things to these. So there will be a document for kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, all the way. My goal is all the way up to 8th grade. So that way, everybody has it. Now, do I want to have something for every single lesson? I mean, that's a tall ask. Okay. And the other thing too, is that, I don't want someone to feel like, oh, see, look, they're on technology all the time. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when you open this up, just know, oh, you're going to be teaching lesson 1 today. Just know that you have these resources here and you could use it to go with the lesson that you're currently teaching, because everything is built with the foundation and the fidelity of that reading series, or if it was a science curriculum or whatever. So really these pieces are all going into a shared Google Docs so that we all can benefit. One thing that I did want to make sure that I talk about is this is not perfect. We're all saying, like, hey, you've got to be checking AI for mistakes. And I said, by this time next year, this part will probably be fixed. Obviously, you want to watch the video. Don't just go, oh, yeah, I created a video. Now I'm just going to send it out to everybody. Please don't do that. That's not good practice. I am going to move this text box so you can see. Oh, maybe I will. There we go. I'm going to move this out of the way because she's talking about the respiratory system, but that is not what it says on the diagram. And I started telling my teachers, I'm like, make sure when you're having it do a video, like, don't ask it to have a lot of text in the background because it's still misspelling it and it's getting, some information wrong in there. But I'll play this and then I'll kind of talk through when I'm doing a training with the teachers. I'll say like, all right, before we get started, it does make mistakes. Let's see if you can spot them.
The respiratory system helps us breathe.
Sarah told you the first one.
Show me those muscles. Flex them.
I'm so strong. Look at this. The skeletal system helps us move.
Oh, look, he has 2 hands.
Look, the heart is pumping blood right now.
This one cracks me up. Okay, so the last one, I was trying to prompt it, like, I'm thinking Magic School Bus whenever they were learning about the digestive system. And so the kid eats something and then you see like, oh, I just ate an apple, and you're going to see it go through a section of the digestive system. Well, I don't know why, but I tried and tried and tried, and it kept putting it outside of the stomach, outside of the intestine. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to delete this, because I think it's good to show, yes, it's not perfect, and this is why that you need to check over it. And you know what? It actually could be a great AI literacy, having the kids tell you what's wrong with this. What is it doing that I need to double check?
That would be really good.
Yeah. So I do want to make sure I show you on here. I'm back over in Vids. A lot of people say, like, I've made one. Now what do I do? So it does give you like the typical sharing options. Do you want it restricted to your district, anyone with the link? But this is the other part that I think that's really cool. You can export it to Drive, which is what I did. It's what I did, whenever I was doing this slide deck in Google Slides. I can export it directly to YouTube. I can download it as an MP4. Maybe I want to put this video in Canva or something else. So you can even download it as a GIF. I think that's awesome as well. So the big thing that I want to share, I'm going to go back over to here. I want to make sure, if someone says, well, what do I do if I have Vids, but I really don't have the VO capability? And I've been thinking about this, because even the folks that I talked to in Utah said, at our district, we're going with the, more top level with Google, but not until July. But boy, have you got me going, and I really want to try to make these now. And I said, well, let me think about it for a second. And then I went, oh, wait. I go, what if you took that screenshot and you went over to Canva, and I know they have image, make this image turn to a video. And so that's what I ended up telling them. I'm like, leverage that example if you don't have VO in Vids. So it's not saying that you can't use it. It just means that you're tweaking and you're using it in a different format on a slightly different platform. Now, if I did that inside of Canva, I can then download that video as an MP4 if I still want to put all my videos together in Vids, if that makes sense. But, overall, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that, that everybody can do this. And I did want to make sure that everyone knows VO is not available to students inside of Vids. Absolutely not. It's all available for staff. It is not available to kids. So I just want to make sure that I said that.
So this is an interesting comment that kind of going on that, but you can see what it means. Our literacy coaches are very protective of Tier 1. So teachers are nervous about changing any CKLA curriculum. And we were talking about that before we got on. So do you have a comment about that?
So a couple of things to note. Number one, you're not changing it. And that would be, like if I was sitting in a meeting with them, with the literacy coaches, I would be showing them these examples, because I can tell you that Franklin Township, with a Lilly grant this year, we have Amplify coaches in our buildings. Now it's only for a year or two, but I showed one of the Amplified coaches what this does. And I was like, do you think that this would be, yes, this would be great to use with students, to help them visualize what's going on. But, making sure that you're part of those conversations, that's where it all depends upon. Every district has things set up differently. I'm fortunate because I'm under teaching and learning. So I'm regularly in those meetings, and I can be that voice. So that would be, if you're in that scenario and it's like, oh, I'm not really getting through, then I would be trying to, leverage having someone, whoever is in charge of you, have that discussion with someone in teaching and learning, because that's why it's integration. I'm taking the two things, the best of both worlds. Like, I know Holly says it all the time. It's good pedagogy.
Mhm.
I'm not messing with the pedagogy. I'm just using tech to enhance that pedagogy. It's not like that I'm trying to replace anything.
Yeah, and it's tech is going through a little bit of a bad moment. I hope things work out. But
Yes.
people don't see this. They don't see the pedagogy. They don't see that, wow, I can actually picture what those words mean. And that way I'm going to take this in and my comprehension is going to be deeper. So like for me, I think you're not going to mess with anything. So you're not going to mess with deeper comprehension. So we're going to have the same bad literacy scores. So and hopefully we don't with this, but one of the things that happened before we went into the science of reading more is there was a reading program that people did and they wouldn't do anything else. And so they forgot the phonics and they forgot the stuff. So we have to be really careful about it doesn't need to be, and no one's asking you to change anything. They're just asking you to bring in pedagogy.
Yeah. And that's the part with this. So if this helps you too, it's not like that they're watching a 10-minute video or something like that.
Oh,
These are just very, very short and it's a hook. Like I said, that first grade teacher was like, this is the reader that we're going to do. And she used it as a hook to introduce the reader. It could be just a list of resources that maybe the kids could go back to at any time. Maybe when they go to meet with the SPED teacher to get additional support. Now we're covering everybody, MLs, they need that support too. So I'm hoping that this will help.
Have your teachers started to put it inside of whatever your LMS is so that the kids can go back and look at that picture again?
This literally came on the scene probably about a month and a half ago when I had this aha. So that's why we said, okay, as much as what we're living in today and what unit we're in, I need everybody to start thinking of next year because we're trying to come up with something that we could have the whole district use if they want. I'm not forcing anybody to use it. It's just, hey, and I've had someone else say to me oh, our teachers aren't going to have time to do this. And I said, but that's why I'm doing it. I know, I do have techie teachers that want to do it, but I have others that are like, wow, I'll use it if you have time to make it, but I don't have the bandwidth right now to do it. But that's where I kind of hook them in to, oh, this is pretty cool. This is something that I would want to use. And I can tell you for a fact, I've been in our high school, at the junior high, every teacher has been wowed when I show what this is and really how easy it is to come up with something that you want to use it for. So
I used Pony Boy while we were doing this. One of the things I can remember, the vocabulary words was apprehensive. So I showed Pony Boy being apprehensive and it was perfect. Because I know I used to sit up there and be like, this is what apprehensive looks like. But I did it once. I don't know, I like a more universal apprehensive, but so it's great.
The other part too that I also think of is that I remember how excited I got. I even have a whole PD and session that I've done before on text to image and the value that text to image had, for everyone with visualizing. And this just completely changed the game again. I'm like, yes, still use text to image, but wow, not only can you, make an image of it, that you can make it come to life. To me, that's even, more engaging for a kid. So I don't know. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you for taking the time to show us. And I know you're going to be a featured speaker at ISTE, so that's exciting. But are you going to be doing this session there?
I'm not. Well, I don't know. I Google sent out something about speaking at their booth, and I wrote a proposal to do this one for Google Vids. So we'll see. If not, if you're going to be at ISTE, feel free to stop me and ask me more.
Well, and I am thinking through, because I'm not going to go to ISTE for the first year in probably, I would say 20 years. And I'm thinking through doing some more of these in the summer for the people who don't get to go to ISTE. Do you know how many people don't even know what ISTE is?
Right.
There was a room full of teachers yesterday. No one knows what ISTE is.
Yeah.
So anyway, So I'm thinking through having more of these that are a little more in depth to get people rolling for
Yeah.
2026, 2027, and in a way that technology uplifts and not is something that kids are doing intentional practice on, and then everyone's saying it's not working.
Right.
Okay. Thanks, Nadine. I know everyone's got to get back to work.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.